I just have a question, a real quick question. Is Alabama still in the playoffs? Oh, wait, they didn't make it. Is Georgia still in the playoffs? Oh, no, they got eliminated and looked horrible. They looked horrible with their backup quarterback. Remember when you didn't let in FSU because of their backup quarterback? Oh, yeah, I didn't forget. We could have looked that bad. Come on. ESPN is so biased that they're scared right now. They're scared that the SEC is falling apart. We see Georgia, they look terrible. If that's their future quarterback, the 2 games we've seen out of him, it's not good. They're going to be in trouble if that's their future quarterback. Alabama, they're in way more trouble. We see what Caleb DeBoer is. We see how his coaching is. We see that the team's offensive line just is gone. Where did the offensive line go? Where did those monsters that Nick Saban had go? And then the guy on the right, the funniest guy of them all, Kirk Herbstreit. Oh, he's missed. Last year, he was everything is about the SEC. Even this year, always. He loves Alabama. He loves Georgia. He loves Ole Miss. He loves every single team in the SEC. And they're just the best conference and the best football. But watch, what has he done? Oh, now he's gone back to his alma mater. And he's a big Ohio State fan. And he just roots for Ohio State. How can he root for everybody? So you can be the number 2 cheerleader of the SEC behind that man on the left, Paul Finebam. But also you can be the number 1 cheerleader of Ohio State. It's just ridiculous. I'd be so tired of seeing ESPN's coverage that was so biased towards the SEC. And then now, Kirk Herbstreit's trying to flip real quick that he loves his Ohio State and all this. Like, come on, dude. You're not a true fan to them because you've always been backing the SEC, always pushing that narrative that the SEC is the best conference ever, the best football. Well, times have changed. Times have changed. Paul Feinbaum, I'm talking to you. Times have changed. I know you're scared. You don't know what you're going to do. You don't know how your career is going to go. It's okay. Because as we see, the 4 teams remaining, Texas, who came from the Big 12, they're in the SEC now. But really, they're not a true Southern blue blood school. They have more money than Alabama. They have more money than Georgia. All right, what about the other teams in the playoffs? Notre Dame. Everybody knows Notre Dame is the super rich Catholic school. They got more money than Alabama. They got more money than Georgia. They got more money than some of these SEC schools. Not Texas A&M. We all know Texas A&M is loaded. All right, let's go to the other team in the playoffs. Penn State. Penn State's got some money too now. Penn State's probably got just as much money as Alabama and Georgia. I wouldn't say they got more. I would say they're on the same level as Alabama and Georgia with money. And so that's why they're able to, compete. And they have a better team. And right now they have a better coach than at Alabama. I'll still say I think Kirby's a better coach than Franklin and Penn State. But they have a much better roster, it seems, right now than Georgia or Alabama. And they have money to buy more players because that's what it's all about now, buying players. All right. And then for the last team, Ohio State, we all know Ohio State's loaded. We all know they spent the most money on NIL out of any other school this year for their roster. They went and stole Caleb Downs. They went and gave him whatever money he wanted. They went and stole Will Howard. They gave him whatever money. They went and stole Judkins. They're still in SEC guys. And I know the quarterback, he wasn't SEC, but he was a top quarterback in the Big 12. That's who they're getting with their money. Wow. What pickups. And then they went and got Jeremiah Smith, the number 1 receiver out of South Florida. So you look at Miami, Florida, Florida State, even Georgia, they're all right there. They couldn't get that guy. That's because, 1, Ohio State's the main pipeline for receivers. And 2, we know they paid him good. We know he's getting paid up there to play in that cold weather. We know he's not there for the weather. It's not Miami. It's not Los Angeles. It's Columbus, Ohio. So we know he's there to play football and that he got paid great. But it's just funny now. I've been watching the coverage on ESPN, been watching Paul Feinbaum. He's the fakest SEC guy ever and like supporter of Alabama. He says, oh, the dynasty's over every other year. And then he says, oh, the Georgia dynasty's coming to an end every other. Now he's going to watch. His narrative next going to be turning on Kirby and turning on Georgia. If you're the number one supporter of the SEC, then be the number one supporter. Don't be one day you're in love with them and you're Alabama's biggest cheerleader. Then the next day you're not. Like, it's so annoying. He's really probably the most annoying voice in sports and probably the most annoying guy in sports. Like, I'm so tired of seeing him on my television screen. He looks just old and grumpy, and we know he's getting paid. We know he gets paid by the SEC. We know he gets paid by the University of Alabama. We know he gets paid by Georgia, you know. And same for the guy on the right, Kirk Herbstreit. I'm sure he's getting a check from, for sure, Ohio State. We know that for sure. And then he's getting a check from, I'm sure, some SEC schools to talk about them all day long, like he does Alabama and Georgia and these schools that he never shuts up about. I'm sure he's getting some money for that. This guy, he just rubs me the wrong way because on the outside, everybody we love Kirk Herbstreit. But in reality, he just goes wherever the money is. Whoever's offering him money to talk about their team and be the cheerleader for the team, that's where he goes. And he lost all my respect last year when he was so against Florida State and he was pushing that ESPN agenda because they wanted Nick Saban to get in no matter what his last year in college football, right? So what do? They give them a couple calls against Georgia. They beat Georgia, who Georgia just won 2 straight national championships in like 34 straight games at the time. Why didn't they get into the playoffs? I'd have rather them got the 4th seed than Alabama. They, to me, deserved it more. Even though they lost to them, they still deserved it more as a 2-time national champion to defend their championship than Alabama, who already had some losses on their record at that point. And then, of course, Florida State, we were undefeated. That's my team. We're undefeated, and it didn't matter, even though we had our backup. But now they let in Georgia with their backup. It just doesn't make no sense. But the guy on the left, Paul Finebam, and the guy on the right, Kirk Herbstreit, was all pushing for, don't let in Florida State, let in Alabama. And then we saw what happened. It's just ridiculous, the narratives that ESPN pushes and that they wanted Nick Saban so bad in the last playoff. And then, what's even more convenient? He gets hired by who? ESPN to do College Game Day, their top college football show. It's like things are just too convenient. That's why the sports world, it's getting on my nerves sometimes because they're letting TV, like a company like ESPN, really ruin things and really have say in things like the college football playoffs and all that because they're choosing teams sometimes off ratings, not off the ability of the team. And that's wrong. That's super wrong. But it's okay because we see now that the SECs has fallen. Georgia and Alabama, their top 2 teams, they're not the same. So are you going to count on Texas? You can, but to me, that's not a true SEC school. They're not behind them the same way as they were Alabama and Georgia. So it's gonna be funny to see their pivot and what ESPN does. But all right, guys, this is Bias Sports. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.